Welcome to the postgame show. Talking Cubs on CHGO. Today the Cubbies won the game, and we sang Go Cubs Go today. At home or on the road, postgame on CHGO. Ow!
Wow, let's go. That's
Love it.
You should have played that, and that would have manifested the win. Hey, Chicago, what do you say? This is the CHGO Cubs Postgame Podcast, and the good news is the vibes are once again good, guys. Cubs win back. 10-1. Vibes are back. Yes, I'm Cody. Follow me on Twitter, Cody_CHGO. My good friend Danny Rockett, San Ranto, and Jared Wyllys, J Wyllys with 2 Ys. On Twitter. Hit the like button. The Cubs won today. I know that you're all probably still pessimistic, but whatever. They won today. And Justin Steele, dog, this offense broke out. Madrigal finally hit a homer. No one actually thought it would actually happen. Morel hit a homer. Jared Young continues the summer of Jared Young.
The summer of Jared Young.
It's summer of Jared Young.
Yes.
It went from the summer of Mike Tauchman to the summer of Jared Young.
It's been 3 days. It's the summer of Jared Young.
Yes. So
Maybe a little early on that, but it's all right.
That's
kind of
like
your confidence.
That's kind of the joke, though, right? So anyway, again, the Cubs win 10-1. Friday, 120. Wind was blown out. The Cubs took advantage today on offense. Good sign, because it's crazy. I guess we could start with the fact that on pregame, I'm sitting here talking about how Madrigal should be sitting today, and he comes out, hits a homer. I think he had 2 hits today anyway, and Morel even hit a homer too. So the irony in the fact that both those guys made bad baseball decisions yesterday, they redeemed themselves today, hit homers like baseball.
Isn't that the part of the beauty of baseball?
Yeah.
You do something stupid.
Redeem yourself.
They don't know to do. They don't know to do better unless you complain. And and you made your complaints known, and they redeemed themselves.
Yes, exactly. That's the beauty of it.
All credit to you.
Yeah, all credit to me, because I took Madrigal for who you got, and that's how he hit the homer. So I guess obviously when Madrigal and Morel hit the homers, it was kind of already, it was like 5-0 when that happened. Horner 2-run single in the second inning that gave them the lead, and then Jared Young, your guy, bases clearing triple that made it, I believe it made it 4-0, and then Tauchman had an RBI single same inning, made it 5-0. Justin Steele shoving on the mound. We'll talk about him later in the show, but it was good to see the offense not just hit singles today. Again, Young with the triple, Madrigal and Morel with the homers. It just felt like there was a little bit of everything today, and that's what this offense needs. They need to be able to not only string together hits, but throw in some extra base hits in there every now and then, Yeah,
it plays into what we talked about during the pregame show, the need for some production on the offense that's more than just a bunch of singles, and we got that. Obviously, Nick Madrigal is not the guy that you expect to be providing some of your power, but hey, you'll take it. But, Morel, we mentioned his name. We talked about him as he's in that 3 spot. He's supposed to be there to provide some pop to your lineup, and then sure enough, he comes through, and yeah, you're right. It's in an insurance run kind of padding the lead situation, but he comes through and provides some of that power. So, And
on the last homestand when they were winning games, they were putting up crooked numbers in some innings,
right.
as well. They were able, because it's not realistic to be like, well, the only time we score is when we string 7 singles together. Somebody's got to be clearing the bases every now and again. And as much as I love to see the merry-go-round going, it's like, somebody's got to come up big, and especially after this last homestand or this last series, getting swept. To not have anybody coming up with the big hit the entire series, and then to see it finally kind of come through today was just really a relief that it wasn't going to get worse before it got better, because it got better today.
Well, and it is, again, this is like we talked about before the game. Today was the day where everything was kind of lined up in the Cubs' favor to right the ship, so to speak, or turn things around and kind of stop this skid before it really gets out of control. You've got Justin Steele on the mound. It's a hot Friday at Wrigley.
You see
the
this
beer's
pour?
flowing.
Yeah. That's a 16-ouncer, too. Like, you're not even messing
Cody's
around.
not messing around today.
Okay. Last time I did a 16-ouncer, I really did not feel good after I chugged it. So
some of the pain is wearing off of that.
I'm just
beer
trying to
vat
fill
now.
it up to where it normally is, and I feel like this is about it.
It's not like you have to host the rest of the show or anything. Just go
Exactly. Like,
Cody will be asleep by the second segment.
And another thing.
Yeah.
we ran out
We
of
need a
12 ounces,
bullpen.
right? So, like, listen, I'm still going to do the beer bat, but...
Well, yeah. Traditions are traditions.
Traditions,
I'll race you
we
with
do
an
12
invisible
ounces.
bat.
Would you like
I
a
liked,
beer?
Oh, no, I do.
I liked a lot of what you guys were saying, and it picked my mind. Like, they're coming off the sweep, and for them to respond today like this...
Yeah.
And against a pitcher that is struggling, you know how many times that we've watched this team struggle against pitchers that are struggling? Taijuan Walker the other day, like he hasn't been as good this year. He's still a really solid pitcher, but he hasn't been that good this year. They couldn't do anything against him. You know, I could pick back so many other games where I feel like their offense just doesn't take advantage of a struggling pitcher. And Cal Contral comes to their beautiful historic Wrigley Field today, and he didn't have it, and the Cubs took advantage. And you know, it's good to see, especially coming off that sweep, because that could have it could have really, you know, it could have really kept going downhill for this
Spiraled
team.
down the drain.
Things could get ugly, and during a stretch that we've already identified as being crucial, before it started. You know, when they got back home and started this Phillies series, we all looked at 13 games in 13 days, some big opponents, 4 games against the Brewers. So good on the Cubs for kind of keeping things from really spiraling out of control. Is it beer bat time? The people are
People are asking
what
for
they
the beer
want.
bat.
People are asking.
Landon says, "Congrats on the win against the worst lineup in baseball." Hey, wins are wins, baby. That's all I can say.
I wouldn't
All
call
that
it the
matters.
worst lineup
I wouldn't
in
say it's the worst
baseball
lineup.
either,
I
yeah.
would say the Oakland A's have the worst lineup in baseball, but you know.
Jeez.
By the way, the
negativity?
Cleveland Guardians are in first place. Just so,
Yeah.
you know, the worst lineup in baseball is in first
What's with the negativity?
first place. So
William
they
says,
were, anyway.
William says Cody has willed Nick Madrigal into a good offensive ball player. Shout out for falling on the sword, and you should win who you got today. See, the people are saying, folks, you know.
The people are saying.
People
Yes.
are saying. Big of me. Credit to me, I am a man of integrity, as they say. As I say. Okay, are we ready?
As we all
official
say.
timer?
Yeah.
As we all
it's
say.
a thing.
You know,
It's a
sources
T-shirt
say.
slogan.
Let me get the
now.
timer back here.
All right, get the timer up. Right now, we got 20 likes. Hit the like. We have 105 people watching, so hit the like button for the Cubs actually winning today and not making us all miserable. Because if I was going to have to be miserable at 5 p.m. today, it was going to be – it's worse than being miserable at 9 p.m.
Cody,
So
do we know your record? What's your record?
the record is 8.5-ish. I think that's the
legit,
record.
yeah.
We can ask Ryan when he comes in, whenever he joins us from beautiful
Okay.
historic
Someone
Wrigley
timing
Field.
you?
Yeah.
Do we have an official timer over here, or
Lawrence's timing, and then if you guys
I mean,
want
yeah,
to,
you could
I
definitely. This thing
I
is
could
a little
stop
wild
watching.
over here.
yeah,
so,
so
yeah.
backup option?
That iPhone
Tom
stopwatch
Green
probably
says,
works better.
"Suck it down." So
Dave
There
says
you go.
9.69.
Nice.
Okay, are we ready?
Yeah.
This one's for Nick Madrigal. I saved your career, brother. All right, here we go.
When the beer hits his lips.
He's
doing it right. Little couple drips. No
We're getting
big
a little
deal.
drippage right
That's
now.
all right. That's
There
right.
we
He's
go.
almost there.
And out. All right, that's a 11:04.
That's
That's what I
respectable.
got.
That's respectable.
11.71, so we'll
11.71.
call it 11.3 and a half. How
haven't
about that?
haven't
Right.
done this in a
11.3.
week.
Well, yeah. To be
Your eyes
fair,
are watering, brother.
the Cubs haven't given you a reason to
Yeah.
need to.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Since last
And
Saturday.
it's
It's a
really
taste of
cold.
victory.
Yeah, it's just nice to win one, as Kevin Malone once said on The Office.
There you go. There you go. So
Anyway,
That's the taste of victory right
yeah,
there.
it's a taste
That
of
is.
victory.
As the buzz hits even better on a Friday afternoon, you know, with the 4th of July weekend looking us in the face. I mean, the Cubs got they got a night game tomorrow, but like, I feel like after this is the exact springboard of momentum that they needed to. I mean, they needed to stop it. You know, they needed Steele to be the stopper first of all, but to put up runs like this must have feel like such a relief after just kind of like looking really flat since coming back from London. That whole series, the last series against the Phillies, they looked so flat, and for them to like look like they were having fun, loosening up, high five, and just like, you know, being ahead. Because all those games all week, they've been playing from behind, you
Right,
know,
you're
and that's
trying to
never
play
a good
catch up
feeling.
and-
Playing to play
yeah.
catch up, yeah.
I thought that first inning was really crucial, and again, I keep saying we're going to talk about Steele in the second segment, but him getting out of that first inning after what was it? He hit a player with a pitch, and then he got a ground ball right back to him, but then he threw it into center field. So you got two guys on with no outs, and with the way things are going, I'm sitting on the couch and I'm just kind of like, not with Steele today. Like, no, don't do this to me. And then he struck out Jose Ramirez, he struck out Josh Bell, and I think he got Andres Jimenez to ground out after that. So like, and then from there on, I think he retired like 12 straight. 12 straight. He didn't give up his first hit until the fourth or the fifth inning. Like it was like the moment that he induced his own traffic, he shut it down. And like that's kind of the story of his success this year in a way. He just, anytime he gets into any trouble, the adversity doesn't take control of him. He just kind of owns it and figures out how to get out of it. Or if he does give up a run, it's limited damage. Kind of like in London last week, the one run he gave up was, towards the end of his start. Like he's just been so incredible. Like you couldn't have asked for a better version of him for this season. I was optimistic. I remember when we did our bold predictions for the year, I was like, bold prediction, Steele throws 180 innings this year. And like he keeps pitching like this, he might get close to that, you know what I mean? And maybe miss, if he has to stay healthy too. He missed a few starts, so I don't know if he'll get close to that. But still, like he's just a quality start after quality start after quality start from him. And it only, like them getting out of that inning, it kind of took the pressure off the Cubs to have to go and score right away or whatever. And like that's the difference between what happened between the last 3 days, honestly. The Phillies scored in the first inning the last 3 days. Right away. First pitch, Kyle Schwarber hits a home run yesterday. I think 2 back-to-back hits the day before that led to a run in the first inning, and then same thing basically on Tuesday when Tyone was pitching.
Well, and it's kind of we talked about Steele as I guess we're bleeding into our second segment here, but why not? That's where the conversation is going. But like you talk about Steele as the stopper in sort of the macro sense, but also in a micro sense in that first inning. You see a situation developing where even if the Phillies only score 1 or 2 runs in that first inning, in the grand scheme of things, that's not such a big deal. But I just said Phillies, the Guardians, given the way that things had gone in this series so far, it would have been a kind of a feeling of like,
here we go again. You did have that feeling.
I did.
Playing from behind, and you see Steele when he botches the throw to second base on what should have been a pretty easy double play. Throws it into center field. You could see him visibly frustrated, but to his credit, he flushes that as quickly as he can, and then turns around, strikes out the next 2 guys, and stops anything from happening in that inning. So in sort of a micro sense, you see Justin Steele's ability to say, no, this isn't going to happen. We're not going to let this inning get out of control. It's a sign of a mature pitcher, somebody who's really getting that experience and confidence in himself to say, okay, there's 2 guys on base, no outs yet. I just made an error, but strikeout, ground out.
I know we've all talked to him a little bit, just like one-on-one in different circumstances. And one thing that I think Justin Steele exudes, and he said full well in the Club 400 basement, that he's super confident in his ability to spin the ball.
Yeah.
And he just knows that he can just get anybody out at any given time, and that for him to press that reset button of him, you're right. It shows a lot of maturity, well beyond his years. What is he, 27 right now? So he's only been around a couple years at this point. He's solidified himself in the rotation last year, and then, but you can just see him wipe that away and be able to be his own stopper, and right the ship. And the Cubs really needed him to do it today too, because, we were all waiting for the drain, and it's went the exact opposite way. So yeah, he's awesome, man. Like, at what point is he considered the ace of the staff?
Yeah, it's like 1A, 1B between him
really
and
is,
Stroman.
I don't really.
I love their interactions on social media. They just keep boosting each other's confidence up, and whether it's a bid or them just trying to get the fans excited, I don't care. It hypes me up.
And we were saying, but during the game, it's your 1-2 punch that you need, that everybody says you need for a playoff run. You kind of have it, and then I forget. I think it was you said, and then add Hendricks to the mix.
Yeah.
And then you've got your solid third, So it's the starting pitching really has been awesome, and it's a shame we couldn't win last night with that great start from Hendricks.
Yeah.
Because then it wouldn't have felt so drainy at the time when we started the game. But
okay. I'm going to address the chat here. Nick Madrigal supporter has made his, Nick Madrigal supporter Jr. has made his time. Of course, he doesn't come to the chat last night when Nick Madrigal had one of the biggest blunders of the season. But of course, he's here today.
Yeah.
He is asking me to eat crow now because Nick Madrigal finally hit a home run after 2 years being on the Cubs. Listen, I said that me taking him for who you got was going to manifest him being a good baseball player, and what has happened? That has happened. So there you go. I'm giving you credit where credit is. I'm giving myself credit where credit is due because even the chat agrees that I saved his career.
I think this is a blind squirrel and finding a nut situation, but whatever.
Enjoy Nick Madrigal having a good game or a good stretch. I will give him credit. He bounced back today after a dumb thing yesterday. So,
but he did good things today.
He did.
We're in good vibes Friday.
Yeah,
good
exactly.
Vibes Friday.
I'm giving him credit where credit is due.
I appreciate Cubes fan giving us the Clark Griswold reference. I couldn't be more surprised if I woke up with my head sewn to the floor. It's one of my most favorite movies of all time. I love it. Thank you for that.
Who said that, Cubes fan? Oh, that's Michael Cotton. That's my co-host on Sacramento show. Yeah, yeah.
Well,
okay.
Thank you for that. That's fantastic.
He's always good for a little dry.
That just made my
reference.
day. Yes, I love it.
So
people call me Danny Bonaducci in the chat too. I don't know if you saw that.
I did.
Way
not.
better looking
family.
than Danny Bonaducci.
Yeah. No, it's great. No, I've gotten that my whole life. You're a redhead named Danny. You're gonna get some Bonaducci coming your way.
So unlike last night, the offense last night went 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position. Today they go 4 for 9. They only left 5 on base. So that was good to see, considering, that's kind of been, when this team isn't playing well, that's kind of been the big thing, is their just inability to get runners in when they're in scoring position. We talk a lot about how the lack of slug, all that. And again, it's just, I think every time they lose a game, I always go to that and look and see how they did in those situations. And it just felt like even before Madrigal hit the homer, before Morel hit the homer, Jared Young hitting that triple was huge. It was huge, and he's done everything the Cubs could have asked in his 3 games to provide a spark.
But yeah, he was called up to do this. This is what he was called up for, because they needed a left-handed bat in the lineup who could do some damage on right-handed pitching. That's what David Ross said the day that he was called up, and he's produced. And so this is why you'll probably see him in the lineup anytime there's a right-hander on the mound, because you're called up to do that. You show that you can do that, so you're going to continue. Who knows how long this run with Jared Young will go? As a fellow Jared, I'd like to see him,
It's the summer of Jared.
It is the summer of Jared Young, yeah.
But yeah, you like to see that, because you get a guy called up to do a specific thing, and when he actually is able to make that happen, that things do work sometimes. Sometimes you have a need on your team. You were able to address it internally, and how nice is that? So not just, Jared Young deserves credit for some of these hits and some of these things that he's been doing, but just generally speaking, this is what they brought you up to do.
It's what we hoped Mervis was going to do.
Right.
And just this rookie's going to come up and perform right away, and he's going to continue where he was in AAA. Jared Young's been able to do that for 3 games during the summer of Jared Young. But, it's like we saw Morel do it, and Morel came up and did that. So we were just kind of expecting this spark out of Mervis for Young to do it in this way. I mean, it could be a big boost for the team, because you kind of sometimes you need that fresh blood to get in there in the clubhouse. Also have a few guys looking over their shoulders. Never hurt. So maybe I'm going to start losing playing time to Jared Young now. If you're Trey Mancini, you're looking at that And you're like, if this guy could figure out how to hit lefties better than I can, which isn't that hard to do, frankly.
Right.
You know, it's he might play himself into an everyday position. You know, where you're putting him out there a lot more than some of the other guys.
So I sent the tweet, where were you for the summer of Jared Young? And everyone in my mentions was like something related to Mervis, like laughing at everyone who was begging for Mervis or something like that. And listen, I'm excited to see what Jared Young is doing. Like I kind of mentioned to you guys on the couch, like if the Cubs can find a way to have these kind of guys come up, provide a spark for a couple weeks, and do whatever after, great, awesome. But anyone who's out on Matt Mervis now, I just don't understand. Like that, you just need more time for these types of dudes, right? Like, not development isn't always linear, as Theo Epstein always said.
Right.
So all I'm saying is like, I think anyone who's out on Matt Mervis needs to chill, and also like ride this hot wave from Jared Young. It's going to take a lot for me to get to anywhere close to that kind of hype for him, considering he's been in the minor leagues for so long. He's older, whatever. But again, like he's earned this chance, and I'm excited to watch it play out.
And I think two things with Mervis. Number one, I think you see him back with the Cubs again this season. I don't think he stays in Iowa the rest of the year. He'll be back. And then number two, go back and look at what Anthony Rizzo did. The first year he was called up in 2011 with the Padres, it was bleak looking. I mean, I think his WRC plus was like 51. So almost exactly the kinds of numbers that Mervis was putting up during his stretch when he got called up here. Not comparing the two and whatever, but like there's plenty of precedent for guys who get their first look at the majors, really don't look that good, they get sent back down, and then they come back and then they turn into the kind of hitters that you think that you're going to get. So, don't count out Mervis just yet. I think you see him again later this summer, maybe when the summer of Jared ends. Initially.
Like 2 weeks, maybe.
Yeah, a couple weeks when that comes to an end. But, don't be writing that guy off yet by any stretch.
Yeah, and that's all I'm really trying to say is, everyone – obviously, Young has been impressive in his 3 games. He hit a homer. He had the triple today.
Two
triples. Yeah. And he's provided the spark that the Cubs are hoping that he would do. And it's not like he hasn't had success at the minor league level. Barb points out in the chat that he won the minor league player of the year in 2018. Yeah, I get that. That was also like 5 years ago.
A long time ago. Yeah.
And the Cubs farm system was also really bad in 2018. Like, it's hard for me to buy in on someone like this who's just been like a career minor leaguer. That's all I'm saying, all right?
Look at his numbers from last year. That's all I would say. Like, look at his even splits from this year.
Yeah.
He
mashed
does
righties.
kill righties,
Yeah.
and his OPS is half against it's half for lefties.
Right. So he has a long way to go before you start to consider him an option to just be in the lineup on a regular
every day.
basis.
Yeah. So
and
again,
Mervis too. I mean, all of them have to. Every single prospect has got to prove themselves. Like how many? We were talking about this earlier too. The first round picks that do not pan out. Clint Frazier or Jackson Frazier. I don't know what he's going by right now.
Back to Clint.
Is it back to Clint?
Yeah.
Good. He had success as a Clint, but he he's a prime example. Just lots of promise, lots of hope. Had some issues with vertigo and a concussion or something like that. But you just never know with these dudes. And then you get a guy like Morel, who kind of comes out of nowhere, who's been like grinding in the Dominican League all winter long, playing in the minors, working his way through, and then finally gets a chance on a really bad Cubs team and breaks through to a point where now you can't imagine him not being in the lineup, even though David Ross was saying at the beginning of the year, I don't know if I got room for this guy in the lineup because he's throwing Hosmer in there. But, so just like you wonder about some of these decisions and also how to value your prospects, how to value a Jared Young when you haven't been valuing him up until this point.
Yeah.
Until he makes it really impossible not to play him.
Yeah.
With his performance.
I saw your Cubes fan, Michael Cotton. He said something in the chat about how the Cubs front office they had Mervis and Jared Young on the roster, but they decided they wanted Mancini and Hosmer at first. The front office is bad at their job. The only thing that I will clap back on that is if they actually did go into the season with trying to bank on Mervis and Jared Young, I think that's malpractice. That's even worse than not trying to bring in a guy who's at least had some success at the major league level. Not necessarily Eric Hosmer, because he definitely has been washed for multiple years, but at least Trey Mancini has had recent success. He had a bad second half last year, was pretty good with the Orioles. I don't think anyone saw him being this bad with the Cubs. And I'm not going to fault the Cubs on that, especially when all the other first base free agents that signed elsewhere with other teams, none of them have been much better than Trey Mancini, except for Anthony Rizzo and Brandon Belt. So that's a whole thing. Yes, I want to see prospects play out. I want to see, especially the hyped ones, I want to see them not get blocked. Obviously PCA is not blocked as much as I want Bellinger to be here next year, whether you could play him at first base if you do decide to punt on Mervis or whatever, or you want to have Bellinger here to help groom PCA a little bit at the major league level, whatever. That's fine. But like I said, I don't want to see the top ones that people were talking about get blocked. But guys like Jared Young and even to some extent Matt Mervis, it's going into a year banking on guys like that. It's just I think that's worse than making a bad signing like Trey Mancini.
For sure. That's
Yeah, what you could have done is Bellinger at first or something like that, and played with the outfield a little bit, and had Morel.
Maybe had
center.
Tauchman starting center opening day because he's been as good as anyone.
I
could
was
have
shocked
expected.
Tauchman didn't make the opening day roster, and Morel for that matter.
Right. I think we all knew going into the season what the plan was. We knew that this Hosmer Mancini thing was just a placeholder because the general belief was that Mervis looked like he was showing you that he was going to be able to be the guy. He might still, again. But so, I kind of disagree with that a little bit, too, because it wasn't as if they went into the season saying, oh, these are our first basemen. This was more of we've got a platoon situation here, but we know our long-term option is in our system, so we'll play this out as long as we feel like we need to for the sake of Mervis's development, given the fact that Mervis had a very small amount of minor league experience and at-bats going into this season. So in the end, what the Cubs are hoping, I think we as a fan base are hoping, is Jared Young rides this hot streak for however long. Eventually, Mervis comes back up and adjusts to what was going on against him his first time around, and he then takes that first base role. Because I think we all want to see Mervis be the first baseman of the future. For sure. There's no doubt about that. Yeah. So there's a lot of hoping and a lot of he's got to do this and do this and do this to get to that point. But
he's got to play his way back onto the team. That's the thing. You can't. It's not just a given that he needs to succeed at the major league level, and you'll let it play out as long as you possibly can. But you can't have him, batting 150 and penciling him in there every day to give him major league at bats. Now I don't know if he needs minor league at bats anymore. That's the thing. Yeah, he just needs the major league ones. But if you're trying to win, you can't have it.
You're trying to win, and you don't want the guy to lose. You don't want to ruin his confidence because he's really struggling against major league pitching. So there's a balance of consistent at bats in AAA where you can hit well, while at the major league level you are trying to win this season. And so when you bring him up, and if he's not hitting, it's causing you those problems. So there's a lot to consider there. I don't want us to miss.
Let's do the super chat after we do the ad break, because I just realized
just do that before the ad break. It's beautiful.
You sure? Okay. All right.
Doesn't need a lot of
I was trying to help Law Dog out. All right. Super chat from Hawkeye, $20. God bless you and your family.
Thank you.
Go
Love you,
Cubbies, go. Love the CHGO crew. You guys make baseball and the Cubs fun, even when we lose. Nice way to start the weekend. Keep up the good work, fellas. We didn't win. I dragged Danny Rockett here, and he manifested a win with us.
You're welcome.
Yeah, everyone should be thanking Danny. If they win the next 3, I'm going to drag Danny here, or the next 5, because we don't have shows on Monday or Tuesday. If they win the next 5, I'm dragging Danny here on Wednesday.
It's just all my vibe that came in here. And
clear your calendar.
Just surf that baby.
Let's do what you got to do.
But thank you again, Hawkeye, for the super chat. Very much appreciated.
For sure.
with that money that we just got, maybe we can get some Pins and Aces gear.
Indeed, we can get some Pins and Aces. Pins and Aces is the official golf apparel partner of ALLCITY and CHGO. We love our Pins and Aces gear and get tons of compliments on and off the course. They are a family-owned golf and apparel business. They make amazing polos, hats, and golf bags, and even our favorite beer sleeve. An innovative product that allows you to store 7 beers right inside your golf bag. That's 7 beers. And keep drinks cold the entire round. Check out pinsandaces.com and use code CHGO to receive 15% off your first order and get free shipping. That's pinsandaces.com. 7 beers.
7 beers. And, you know,
also 4 beefs, 4 regulation Italian beefs. That has been proven by Jay Zawoski of the CHGO Blackhawks.
Wait, 4 beefs and the 7 beers?
No. Either or. It's either a beer sleeve or a beef sleeve.
So
my question is
2 beefs, 4 beers.
Right. That's
naturally,
not
that's
sure
where
the
my
math
mind
on
goes.
How many beefs, how many beers.
hopefully you don't make a mess. Just have it just stays in line. You know.
Keep
Yeah,
them
don't get it
separated
dipped.
somehow.
Yeah,
for sure. You need a divider in there.
So last week I went to the Morgan Wallen concert. Thanks to Game Time. Shout out to them. Had great seats. Sat in the 400 section at beautiful historic Wrigley Field. All thanks to Game Time. Danny, you going to any games this weekend?
You know, if I can get a ticket from Game Time, maybe I will go to a game.
Well, I asked because I know you're there all the time. So
I live close. There's always a ticket somewhere.
There's always a ticket somewhere, especially at Game Time. Buying tickets to your favorite events shouldn't be stressful. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. With killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you'll have this weekend on Game Time to go to the Cubs game. Perhaps Law Dog is bringing it up because he's such a great producer. You can go to the game what?
Thank you.
Tomorrow for what?
Game.
$45?
Yep.
Looks like.
Little pricey.
It's the summer.
Saturday night.
It's Saturday. In July, you know.
It's the summer of Jared. People
know
that.
People know it's the summer of Jared Young now.
People have been saying.
Yes. Game Time is the place for last-minute ticket deals. Forget planning months in advance. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. Get exclusive flash deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. The Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. It's the fastest growing ticketing app in the country for a reason. Get your images of your seat before you buy so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. Buy tickets in a matter of seconds. 2 taps and your set tickets are sent directly to your phone so you never have to dig through your email. It's one of the biggest things. Like the fact that they don't send me any emails, it just go straight into the app. It's a beautiful thing. So snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem with code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guarantee. Luke Stuckmeyer would be very proud of that.
Yeah, that's
ad
great.
read.
That's a great ad read.
Thank you. I feel like I'm doing really good in the Luke Stuckmeyer role this week. So
you're doing great.
Thanks.
Who needs him? Love you.
Yeah, who needs him, Luke? Actually, we need you because we won today, but we were 0-3 before this.
That's true. Yeah, the overall record without Luke, not pretty.
Yeah, overall record not great. All right, we have made it to the second segment, so now this is where we talk everything about Justin Steele because Ryan sent some tweets about him that blew my mind a little bit, and we kind of talked about him a little bit in the first segment because it's really hard not to, considering he was a big part of today's win. But Corey also sent a tweet after he came out of the game. This is his 10th quality start of the season. He's the second lowest earned run average in baseball at 2.43, which is the lowest earned run average in the National League, and he's tied for the 5th highest WAR among pitchers in all of baseball. And I did not fact check any of that. I just trust that everything he said is correct.
I think that's as safe as something.
I mean, he was copy editing your headline that you wrote for the show. I think he's right. We got to trust him on that.
Yeah, you can trust him.
And then also Ryan's tweet: since June 5th of 2022, through today, among starters with at least 150 innings pitched, Steele's 2.34 earned run average is in that stretch is ranked first in the National League and second in baseball. 2.43 ERA in 2023 currently leads the National League and ranks second in baseball. Like we've talked a ton about Stroman and how he's in that Cy Young race. I think I know he missed a few starts because of an injury, but like how do you not include this guy as at least in that conversation too at this point?
Oh, I think he definitely is. For sure, because he only missed a couple of starts, and across the whole stretch of the season, nearly everybody's going to miss a start or two. That's really, really tough to avoid. So he's absolutely in that conversation, and I think you can really now kind of point to what he's done over the last calendar year, because if you go back to last June and when it seemed like he sort of turned the corner, and we all know the story, John Lester watching him pitch on TV and sending a message to David Ross and kind of passing along a tip to Justin Steele that he clearly took to heart, and he started changing the way he uses that four-seam fastball. But yeah, you look over the rest of last season, what he's done so far this year. This is your guy, and he's a legitimate Cy Young candidate. And also, you want to talk about who's going to be pitching in the All-Star game in another week and a half. Justin Steele deserves an inning. I don't know if he's starting the game, but he should get an inning.
At least get a jersey to hang out there with it.
We need to put him on the national radar because I don't think he really is yet. You know, I mean,
they've talked about him a little bit on MLB Network whenever I've tuned in. But like, for instance, this past week, they did MLB Network did their top 10 pitchers in baseball. They didn't even include Stroman or Steele on that graphic.
That doesn't surprise me. It really, because it's not like, because they're pitch to contact guys, Stroman more than Steele maybe.
Yeah.
And it's not like the big guys that just blow you away and have the headline strikeouts and stuff like that. And that's the problem with the Cy Young too, because even look at that year that Hendricks led the league in ERA.
2016,
Yeah, and he was like
the year they won the World Series.
Yeah, that is that year, wasn't it? But even that year, he wasn't in any conversations. Like, oh, this guy, flash of the pan. He wasn't getting respect because he threw 88.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think that's a similar thing with Steele. And he's new. He's fresh in the league, but it would be nice to have him get at least an inning in the All-Star break or in the All-Star game and have that kind of arrival in a way. But it's also, to me, when you have because Stroman and Steele all year long are at the top of these categories of pitching. So to me, you got a 1-2 punch like that. Do not waste it. Do not waste the season when you have that. How many years have the Cubs not had two good starting pitchers? There was a couple years ago when I was like, we got a whole bunch of number threes.
Right, that came out of their system.
Yeah. I mean, so this is a special moment, and and to me, to not add to this, to not add some big bat, a bullpen that can lock it down at the end of it. To not do that is kind of, especially in an incredibly winnable division where you've kind of sucked this year and you're still in striking distance, to go and play the lottery of the postseason. Freaking Phillies won 85 games last year and put it together at the end to get to the World Series. I'm not saying that is how a team should be put together. But if that's our course this year, I'd be happy with it because you got to have a 1 and 2 to go into a playoff series and win a 3-game series. Yeah. That's what you got to do
for sure
in the wild card, because you're not going to get the bye. I'll tell you that much.
Well, and kind of thinking about Justin Steele and why he's not a part of this national conversation or why he hasn't gotten that attention. I know sometimes it does come down to the sexy numbers, like high strikeout numbers, stuff like that, and he doesn't necessarily do that. But I also think sometimes there's a benefit to getting that national showcase of the ESPN Sunday Night Baseball game where you're starting and the whole country's watching and they watch you dominate somebody. And it's kind of a shame because he did do that in London last Saturday and that was the showcase game, and he went out there and he pitched very much like he did today, and against a division rival. And it's almost like he still isn't getting his name isn't being recognized the way that he probably deserves, given the performance that he's had. So maybe that's where Cubs fans need to,
buy more obvious shirts with Steele on.
Take,
we need our own
grassroots campaign
Make your
to
own
say
CHGO shirt.
this guy, because I know, like we talked about earlier, but Stroman hyping him up on Twitter and things like that. I don't know. Maybe I'll ask Stroman next time I get a chance, but about that sort of thing. Like, do you think Steele is in the national conversation as much as he should be? What?
He's emotionally demonstrative, so he's out there doing the Lester fist pump and stuff like that.
He's an easy guy to want to root for, and even if you don't have to be a Cubs fan to enjoy watching him pitch, unless of course you root for the team that he's pitching against. But just as a casual baseball fan, he's a guy that you can kind of latch onto and say, man, this guy's fun to watch. I'm gonna make it a point to see him, when he's starting. If you live around Chicago and you're speaking of game time and you're like, I want to get some tickets, Justin Steele's on the mound. Yeah. I'm going that day. I'm gonna go watch that game.
So Ryan just sent a tweet about 20 minutes ago. It's a quote from David Ross about Justin Steele on being an all-star, and he said, he's a horse, man. I don't know. Every time he takes the bump, it feels like a guy that it's a win day. So
that's what we used to say. It's Jake Arrieta Day.
Yeah. It's Jake Day, right?
Jake Day.
Yeah,
so
Justin Day.
It's Justin Day.
And speaking of Stroman, he tweeted 23 minutes ago: Steele, Swanson, Horner, all stars. Need Morel in the home run derby too.
I
think Morel would be so fun in to be honest.
Fun.
He would grow the game a little bit.
Nose ring just out there. Yeah, I love it.
And I think Morel, just in general, he's ingratiated himself to so many people around the league because he's just such a friendly guy.
Yes.
That to see him in the home run derby would be a lot of fun because even if he goes out there and only hits a couple home runs, he's going to be so full of joy and fun to watch that people are going to have a good time. I mean, I saw him last night. When he got in the on-deck circle, he was going up to bat, and one of the beer vendors was kind of walking down the aisle right over there, and Morel walks over to the net and fist bumps the beer guy before he's going to take his at-bat.
Christopher Morel came to the Bleacher Bum Band show at Nice Lounge last year and hung out with us.
Amazing guy.
Yeah, I mean, and he was just like, yeah, this is great. Cub fans have a band. This is so cool. That is Chris Morel, man. It's so cool.
When he got called back up this year, one of the first things he did was he went around and he was giving hugs to the grounds crew, and he knows them by name, and so this is a guy, I think, speaking of guys who a national sort of showcase, it'd be cool to see Christopher Morel home run derby.
He could win the whole damn thing too.
He also could,
because that's his game,
right? So Marcus Stroman, I think you're right on all counts.
Except for against a position player today in the game. He couldn't quite get that one out.
It was close.
Albert Alzolay, he's also big on social media. He tweeted, Mississippi fastball is unbelievable on the mound every 5 days. Let's go Cubbies.
The lefty from Loosedale. That's
the lefty from Loosedale.
I love it.
I love that. Loosedale. I love that saying. Was it Boog who said it, or was
I believe it was Boog.
Okay. I want to believe that it's JD, but we'll
it might have been. So don't quote me on that. But all I know is lefty from Loosedale. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, lefty from Loosedale. Hell yeah.
Well, we're all learning where Loosedale is, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Where were you when you learned where Loosedale,
Mississippi
is?
Where?
Google Maps. Where's Loosedale?
What up? We got how many people in the chat? Law. We got 123?
1, 2, 3.
123. 53 likes. Come on. Can we hit 100 before the end of the show?
Decent.
We're at 44 minutes in. Can we hit 100 likes before the end of the show?
Yeah, match it.
I feel like that should be easy considering the amount of people in the show. Ryan Herrera is going to join us here in a few minutes from beautiful, historic Wrigley Field. We got a lot of people talking in the chat about prospects, Steele, and all this stuff. It's always good to have the winning postgame show because everyone is like, it's like we said in the pregame, we're delusional fans. We just all it takes is one, and we're all the way back in, except for Michael Collada, of course, who is my guy. But
it's okay.
He's a little bit more realistic, or at least he thinks he is.
That's all right.
But
That's right.
I just feel like today was a good win to get back, coming off that sweep, and taking some momentum in tomorrow with your other
Marcus
ace that you
Stroman
have.
going to the mound. Yeah,
and a chance to win the series tomorrow and maybe they can finally win a game on Sunday. Like, if they can win tomorrow. Like,
Tyone
we'll
on
see.
the mound.
We'll see. But
I mean, spin zone about the sweep. Remember last year, didn't the Cubs sweep the Phillies?
they did.
All the
Phillies went to
games,
the World
yeah.
Series.
Yeah.
So
There you go. It's written destiny
It's written in
has
the
been laid
stars.
out. Like they got swept by the Phillies.
So it's the Cubs'
There we
turn to go to the World Series.
Cubs are going to the World Series.
You're telling me World Series. We also have a super chat. Sorry, Tank Pappas. What's he saying? Goldie to the north side at the deadline. Don't let me talk myself into it. Cubbies, CHGO crew are the GOAT.
That's
Appreciate
true.
you, man.
That's true.
$5. Listen, like, in realness, I don't think the Cardinals are going to be trading Arenado or Goldschmidt.
And if they do, it won't be to the Cubs.
Yeah, and if they do, it won't
and
be
if
to
they
the
do
Cubs.
to the Cubs, how much are we going to hate seeing the guys that we sent them have Hall of Fame careers in our faces?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because it's happening.
You would know that would happen, yeah. But, I mean, if Goldschmidt or Arenado ended up in the Cubs uniform, I'd be mind blown. I don't see that happening, but you can always dream about it. I'm all about dreaming things.
Didn't
right?
Arenado almost happen a couple years ago when they were first shopping him from the Rockies?
Yeah, in like 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a brief period I think where that was a
Still the biggest like fleece job that the Rockies let the Cardinals have, in my opinion, like ever. Worst trade in baseball history, if you ask me.
Worse than Brock Verbrolio.
Yeah. So as far as Justin Steele goes, what are we at? We have 47 minutes. I guess for me, it's just like, based off everything that we've said, I'm just happy for the dude because like he went through some injury problems in the minors. When he first came up, he came out of the bullpen and he looked like a stud bullpen arm, honestly. And then when they gave him that opportunity to be a starter, that second half of 2021 where no one was watching because they had the deadline that we'll never forget and everyone just doesn't give a shit what's going on. I watched a few of his starts. He had some good ones. He had some bad ones. And then going into last year, the first half of the year, those first couple months, it was tough to watch, and it wasn't necessarily always because of him. The Cubs' defense was also bad too, but it was definitely some like you were sitting there wondering like, man, can this guy be something? Like even just a serviceable starter for him one day or for the Cubs one day. And like since June 5th, after the John Lester conversation, this guy has just shoved it down people's throats. And as a fan of the Cubs and watching them being able to develop their own stud starting pitcher for the first time, since Zambrano,
It's been
like
20, 25 years since
yeah,
that's
like
been
it's
a thing.
it's a beautiful thing. So
People throw Hendo as a guy, but
that's true. They traded for him, but I still consider him, I guess, in a way like a Cubs prospect. So, all right, Ryan Herrera is here, so I'm going to tell him about Goose Island because I know he needs to know more about Goose Island. CHGO is supported by Goose Island Beer Company, Chicago's beer since 1988. Their beer roster includes the 312. Jared's got the tropical beer hug. Yeah, 9.9%. I always like to mention that because that is hefty.
Hello.
And then the full pocket Pilsner is one of my favorites. I got a few in the fridge at home.
That's a good one.
It's very smooth, great lager. If you're not into like IPAs and stuff, like you just want like something really light, like
that's a good summer beer.
Yes.
Speaking of summer of Jared, summer of pocket.
We should get Jared Young a case of the full pocket Pilsner to celebrate the summer of Jared Young. So anyway, grab ultra fresh brewery exclusive beers at Goose Island, the original brew house on Clybourne Avenue in Lincoln Park, or from their tap room on Fulton Street in Westtown. Goose Island Beer Company, Chicago's beer. And after you get your beer, you go. You might go sit outside.
You might need to go sit outside
and enjoy your beer with your friends, whatever. You might need your Shady Rays.
Might need some Shady Rays.
Oh,
I've got me some Shady Rays here.
Yeah,
so
you look like Tom Cruise.
This is authentic. These are my Shady Rays. I didn't bring them as a prop for this. I genuinely was wearing these today
because they're the best sunglasses.
They really are. I got 2 pair. I like to alternate them, or depending on what sort of mood I'm in. And one of the things that Shady Rays loves to advertise is their durability. And I can speak to that because this pair that I hold in my hand and wear on my face once got dropped, and one of the lenses popped out. But Sure enough, I popped it right back in, and they are no worse for the wear. They're looking golden. So
I just realized I didn't put the Shady Rays ad in the
I'm
Notion glove.
I'm improving this, but I do know that if you go to Shady Rays, you can get 50% off 2 pair if you use promo code CHGO. So that'll get you, like I have, 2 pair of Shady Rays. And I also know that Shady Rays has their guarantee that if you lose one, break one, even on the very first day, they will replace them for free. Or even if after 30 days you're just like, I'm not sure I like these Shady Rays, you can send them back and get a full refund. So I legitimately love these sunglasses. They're one of my most favorite pair I've ever had. So get yourself some Shady Rays. And during this weekend, their Independence Day sale is live right now.
Right now.
So after you're done watching this show, after we are done, go to shadyrays.com, keep that computer open, go straight to shadyrays.com, and get up to 50% off a single pair of sunglasses. Ooh. You don't have to do the 2. Get 2 if you want.
Just get 1.
Get 3, get 4. But even if you just want 1, 50% off a single pair. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people.
It's a lot of people.
Shout out to the Law Dog for helping us out there.
Thank you.
I haven't perfected my Luke Stuckmeyer impression. We'll work on that for next week. All right, Ryan Herrera is here from beautiful, historic Wrigley Field. Where were you when Nick Madrigal hit the homer?
In the press box. The funny thing is I wasn't actually looking. I was working on something on my laptop, and then I just hear a roar. I hear a roar. I see the ball. I look up and I see the ball traveling to left field. Didn't know who was hitting, and I look over who's rounding first base, but Nick Madrigal. That was a pretty
as the noted Nick Madrigal guy on this podcast. Explain to me your emotions during this moment, because you've defended him more than anyone else here.
I mean, just as a person that I mean, happy for the guy, right? Especially after yesterday, especially after the mistake he made, the bunt, and forgetting the outs and all that stuff. Just responding with a good game is one thing, but going out and hitting your first home run. That's, you obviously you feel happy for the guy to get that. And I mean, that he's had he had that barrel out in London. He's hit the wall a couple times in the last couple weeks. He's hit the ball pretty well in the last, since he got recalled, he's hit the ball pretty well. People are he's going to get the ire of fans, deservedly so or not deservedly so, right? Fair or unfair, people are going to harp on him a little more than some others. Which is what we've seen since he's been in a Cubs uniform. But yeah, like we talked about yesterday, to forget the number of outs in a game that close is inexcusable. Mm-hmm. So to come back today and hit your first home run in a Cubs uniform like that, just the response has to feel good for Nick Madrigal.
Yeah. Just to point out, Corey Friedman is in the chat, and he says, congrats, Ryan. Big day. Big of me to congratulate Ryan. And I would say, as a man of integrity, it is very big of him to congratulate you. On a more serious note, I saw you tweet David Ross's quote about Justin Steele on the All-Star game. And I just give me the vibe in the clubhouse regarding him after the game. It seems like, he just continues every fifth day to go out there and give the Cubs a chance to win.
Yeah, I think it's more than that now. I think he goes out every 5 days and you kind of expect the Cubs to win. All right, he's starting to fall right in line with Marcus Stroman, and talking about an all-star status. By the time Justin Steele takes the mound in what should be Milwaukee, I want to say, based on how the rotation should line up. By the time he takes the mound again, he should be an all-star, right? He's pitched at that level. He leads the NL in ERA, I want to say right now. He leads the NL in ERA. Shane McClanahan leads the majors, and if he somehow gets blown up tonight, Justin Steele could end up hopping him for first. That might take a lot, but it could happen. He's pitched as well as, again, the Cubs could have hoped him to. And, Marcus Stroman has deservedly so, been kind of considered the ace of the staff so far this year. But Justin Steele is right there with him, and David Ross described it as like he goes out there and it feels like it's win day, like that. That's kind of the feeling you get when Justin Steele has taken the mound, and that's like kind of grown over the last year or so, right? Since that whole John Lester texting David Ross with some tips for Steele. Over the last calendar year, like that's just grown and grown. And now he's at a level where he goes out there and you're like, all right, the Cubs probably should win today. Like it's starting to get to that point. And so to see like a homegrown pitcher is obviously big news for the Cubs, a homegrown pitcher to do what Justin Steele's doing. He's a bulldog out there. He just goes out and gets guys out. Nothing more, nothing less than that. He gets outs, he pitches well, he dominates. I think if we're talking about all-star status, like I think he deserves his first all-star nod come Sunday.
Absolutely, I agree. I think all three of us here can sit here and agree with that. Stroman goes tomorrow, as you tweeted today. Is there any, I expect him to be fully healthy, be able to throw 100 pitches if they needed him to. Is there anything on that, on whether or not there will be any kind of limitations?
Yeah, I think what David Ross said was there's nothing like lingering. Like he threw the bullpen, was fine. And as far as limitations or pitch count or any of that kind of stuff, I don't expect there to be anything like that based on what David Ross said today. Feels like they gave him they took him out when they had to. They probably took him out at the right time on Sunday. Gave him the days that he had to take. Let him throw his bullpen, watch him closely, and are comfortable with the results of that. So yeah, I feel like we can expect Stroman to be full go tomorrow night.
Awesome. I guess to revert back, do you guys have any questions? I'm not trying to take them all.
No, I think some of the big takeaways from we've talked about some of the big takeaways from today. There's you kind of see the offense really come together. You get the Nick Madrigal home run, I think Justin Steele, grand scheme of things, big picture, the conversation should be Justin Steele in the season that he's having and what he's doing. And so, like I said, Ryan, before you came on, I was saying we need to launch some sort of a Cubs fan grassroots campaign to get Justin Steele in the national conversation so that not only does he get an all-star nod, but I really think the guy should be I was just looking at stats. I was feeling a little distracted just now because I was looking at stats. Maybe he should start for the National League because you look at National League starters, maybe Justin Steele should be your starter because there's not a long list of guys that you could make a case should start ahead of him other than his teammate Marcus Stroman. But I think you could make a really solid case that Justin Steele, not only an all-star, but maybe he takes your first inning.
Yeah. I mean, maybe Spencer Strider is that guy for the Braves.
Yeah, there's a couple of guys that you could, there's some debate to be had for sure. But at the very least, he's a legitimate candidate for that.
Yeah. No, I agree. I guess my last question is Jared Young. Are people talking about the summer of Jared Young in the clubhouse? Because let me tell you, it's off to a hot start.
Yeah, I don't think it's the summer of Jared Young yet. I think it's just like it could be. It could really be. I mean, he's had
let the facts get in the way of a good story.
He's had a great start. He's had a great start to his second stint with the Cubs, and he played well enough to get that little cup of coffee at the end of last season, and just didn't stick. Right, didn't stick to the off season. Goes back down to AAA this year. Hits is arguably the best hitter in AAA, or at least on the Iowa Cubs, and then comes back up, gets another shot, and only a few games into it, but he has back-to-back games at the triple, his first career home run. It's one of those where if this was a different position that he was playing, and you don't know how much of a leash or how much of an opportunity he gets, but it's first base. And since Anthony Rizzo, nobody's taken over that spot. No one has put their claim on that spot. No one has taken that spot and not given it back. And that goes with anyone that played this, even Matt Mervis, right? Matt Mervis is down in AAA because he just did not get the results that they were looking for. So this is Jared Young's opportunity. And so far through a few games, like he's running with it. And, don't know how long that's going to last, right? There'll be some kind of adjustment phase and some adjustment period for a guy that comes up from AAA. But he's so far early return, taking that opportunity and running with it. And, the Cubs are just going to ride that wave, so to speak. They're just going to let him keep going and seeing how long he can kind of keep how much he can extend. It's a little hot streak, right? How far can he extend that? And can he kind of take hold of that position when they need left-handed bats, but they just need production from that spot. And maybe he's that guy. They're going to give him every opportunity to see if he could do that.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it play out. Speaking of these types of guys, like me and Jared were talking on the couch earlier about how Tauchman struck out 2 times yesterday. Today, walk, RBI single, much better day. So the summer of Mike Tauchman is still here. All right?
It's not. We haven't ended it yet, but we can have a dual summer of the summers of Mike Tauchman and Jared Young. Everyone years from now will look back.
In 10 years, when we're doing CHGO Cubs Podcast, in 10 years, when we're sitting in the studio or wherever or wherever.
This will be the clip they play as the definitive moment that it was called.
We'll be remembering the
Hot Cub summer. Hot Cub summer.
That's
We're going to talk about Hot Cub summers. We'll be talking about Mike Tauchman
when they
and
make
Jared
the
Young.
World Series documentary for the 2023 team that won it all. They'll talk about the summer of Mike Tauchman and Jared Young.
See, Jared knows what he knows what I'm spitting here. This is the stuff.
Ryan, I actually have that kind of question. Is the vibe around the team? It seems like, I know the fans, we go through the ups and downs of everything that's going.
Every single game.
Every single game. We live and die. We're either depressed or happy. But this is a more this team's already had a lot of kind of turnover within it. Personnel change. Let's play the hot hands from the minor league. Let's see what we got with your Mike Tauchman's, a couple injuries and things. As that churn has gone on throughout the season and you come to a day like today where you just got swept and you turn it around, you put up a big number, do you feel like this is like a workaday group that is just going to kind of go about their business the same way either way, or are they getting affected with the ups and downs of the season and riding the emotions as well?
I think the first part, I think it's they know they have to kind of take it one game at a time. Part of that comes with like some of that veteran leadership, adding Dansby Swanson in here. Hap's kind of a elder statesman, so to speak now. Kyle Hendricks has done that throughout his career. Even Trey Mancini has been around for a while and went to the World Series run with the Astros last year. It feels like these guys know, like, they're not going to make up. It's like you're not going to score 7 runs with 1 home run, right? Like you can't. It's like when you talk about in one game, you take everything one at bat at a time. It's the same with like the standings. Like they're coming to today 5 games out of first place. They know they can't make up all those games in one. So they gotta. They have to get a move on. Obviously, it's almost July. July is tomorrow. But they know that they can only make up 1 game at a time. They can only do what they can do on a daily basis. I think that they feel that they seem very level-headed in there. Like the vibes don't get too high, don't get too low, right? Like they know they take care of business today, right? They still have to come back and win a game tomorrow. So vibes are much better today than they were yesterday and the last 3 days. I'll say that. But no, I think that this team has done a really good job of just kind of turning the page to the next day, no matter what happened the previous day. They get swept by the Phillies, they turn the page and go out and beat up on the Guardians. Right? They beat up on the Guardians today. They're going to flip the switch or turn the page and try to win a game tomorrow, or win a series tomorrow. I think they do a good job of kind of staying even keeled, level headed, and just kind of taking things one day at a time. All
right. Well, I guess we can finally get to the most important thing of the entire show, as Luke Stuckmeyer would say, and that's who you got. So, I think I'm a man of integrity, and I'm just saying, I think Madrigal has earned a spot today.
I told you this during the game because I was very much because I'm riding with my fellow Jared Young, the summer of Jared. And until the Madrigal home run, I thought it was a pretty clear-cut case that Jared Young was your who you got pick of the day. He had another triple, 2 RBI, But Madrigal gets up there. He hits a home run, his first home run for the Cubs. And to quote the cinematic brilliance of Dumb and Dumber, totally redeems himself. No one cares about that goofy bunt from yesterday anymore. We'll never mention it again. Hit a home run. And it was, like I said to you, this wasn't a basket home run. It was in the seats.
It would have left 9 or 8 other ballparks.
8 other ballparks, people.
8 other ballparks.
So lucky fan that got that ball too. I mean,
that's Nick Madrigal.
It's one of the rare. That's rarer than a perfect game.
That's right.
It was a barrel too. It was his second barrel in the Cubs.
Second barrel.
Don't forget about that.
Where were you for the Madrigal second barrel?
And just generally speaking, that Nick Madrigal has been hitting a lot better since he got called back up from Iowa, and this is truly just a continuation of that. So, as much as it's hard to break my winning streak of 2 games. In the summer of Jared, I do have to say I agree.
Okay. I will give credit where credit is due, and it's big of Ryan to not say anything about Morel here. He had Morel, and he hit a homer, and he's not saying a word. I think he's just standing his guy Nick Madrigal. So
Morel had a home run, but Madrigal also had a single. So I mean, that's just he had a better day.
Big of you. I'll remember this for future. Debates on this. So, anyway, that's a good way to end the show. Cubs win 10-1. Vibes are back. Stro show tomorrow.
Do we want to have Danny sing a song to us?
You want to sing a song on the way out too?
You know what? I can sing the. I forget who it was that asked for a song, and they asked for a parody.
The
song.
delusional one.
Yeah.
It's not delusional.
It's not delusional. Yeah, that one.
Hell yeah.
So.
Before we start, or because we're going to do this on the way out, Corey and Brendan on Sunday, they got the series recap for the rest of the series with the Guardians. Then we are off Monday and Tuesday for July 4th weekend, basically. So tune in for Corey and Brendan on Sunday. Me, Ryan, probably Jared. And if they keep winning, I'm going to drag Danny back here. Corey, we'll be back on Wednesday.
And Ryan and I will be up in Milwaukee covering that series. So keep an eye out.
Awesome.
And we're going to say goodbye to Ryan. Ryan, go just hit the YouTube stream and listen to this because I want to be able to switch cameras. So peace out, buddy. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Catch you later.
All right. Go, Danny.
Right. It's not delusional to love the Chicago Cubs. It's not delusional to have fun cheering the Cubs. And you might think we fans are just a little nuts. Not delusional to have Cubs pride. Get on the ride. Go Cubbies!
See y'all next week.
All righty.